Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EUW ChallengerSeries number 18 with Reason Gaming and TheFoxSound in the third game of this best of 3, which will be the last game no matter what happens. 1-1 will be the scoreline. Kasten, KL, Kha'Zix, Yasho banned out. I am Pulse. I am joined by Metas. Hello.
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 How's it going?
Pretty well, mate. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm looking forward to this third game, to be honest. As you say, there has to be a winner. It's going to be either Reason Gaming or TheFoxSound going through to the next stages of this game. We already did see Meet Your Makers getting knocked out in the previous best of 3, which is a bit of an upset, I think, for a lot of people. But regardless, you have to pick some bands, as you say. I'm a mile behind you, by the way. You were talking about bands, and I've just seen Kassadin banned.
Yeah,
GG.
Well, Metas will be casting over the stream for the duration of Champion Select Picks and Bans, so forgive him while he's a bit slow. But Vi will be banned out, and the next ban will be Gragas, which we saw in the last game, and indeed the first game. So Kasten banned out against Reason Gaming is no surprise. We're going to have to see exactly what they do in this game. And Kale was also banned out as well, so it'll be interesting to see if Reason Gaming try and still go with like a reset composition, especially when Kha'Zix is being banned out.
It's quite curious to me as well that it's TFS that banned Vi, because Santron used Vi in the first game to devastatingly good effect, so they're actually banning that champion out. Kha'Zix, not really a big surprise. And as you say, Gragas and Kale also targeted bans. Yasuo, Kassadin, they're just staple bans, the staple picks. They're very strong in this current meta, so nothing too surprising.
Yep, so the next two pickups will be Elise and Sivir, which again we saw in the last game, followed by Lee Sin from TheFoxSound, waiting for that next pickup. But they have again prioritized that Thresh pick, so maybe they were like, okay, well, we want to prioritize Thresh, so we won't, in fact, we will ban out Vi so they don't pick up that in return. But Elise is typically a pickup which you will go against Vi because you can trade up against her anyway.
That's very true, and that first pick Thresh is definitely counter against Barney D, because Sivir Thresh lane was just horrible to play against. As an AD carry myself, I despise playing against that lane because there's really not a great deal you can do. Unless you've got something like a Leona that just plays super aggressive, you're pretty much on the back foot for the duration of the laning phase, which means you miss a lot of CS, a lot of XP, and just generally feel pretty sad all over. But at least, I think she's been banned the first 2 games, Paul, so this is the first time she's actually even been available.
Yeah, indeed. So I'm going to see what they follow that on up with, and that will be Orianna locked in now from TFS. So again, seeing what Reason Gaming bring into their roster. So what are we expecting here? Jungler has already been picked up. Most likely we won't see Elise in any other of these lanes. Sivir will most likely be in the AD carry role. We don't really see her anywhere else. In terms of mid laners, Gragas has already been banned out, and Gragas is something we've seen from both these teams used to Grace effect. So what do we really expect here?
Well, it's a really tough one, because honestly, all the characters that we've seen so far in mid have been banned or already picked up. Orianna's a new one. I don't think we've seen Orianna so far, have we? Because I got a goldfish memory, but I'm pretty sure we haven't. So Gragas used to be picked up a lot against Orianna, and vice versa. At one point they were the 2 go-to mid laners. Maybe something like a Ziggs would come in here. Not too sure. It's a difficult one to call.
It's in fact going to be Zed alongside Leona, and Leona and Sivir can be quite aggressive in the bottom lane. A little bit interesting against Thresh though, because typically you pick Thresh into Leona because you can flay back the Zenith Blade, making it very difficult for you to ever engage on that lane. And at the same time, Zed is just not a pick we see very much anymore.
It's not. It kind of fell off out of favour, especially when Kale started to become a lot more used as well, because Kale is just an out-and-out counter to Zed, but you can see with it being banned out, it's going to leave it open. But Zed's not been seen for a while for a few different reasons. One's the fact that he just doesn't fit into the meta as well against a lot of the top go-to mid laners like Ziggs, like Kale, as I said before. Orianna can harass him in lane really, really hard and make it difficult for Zed to even farm. So it's going to be quite an interesting one. They've gone for the Rumble picking again here, and a new AD carry for this best of 3, going to be Vayne with Thresh. That's not a combination you see a great deal of, and I'm not too sure about that pick against Sivir Leona. As you're saying, Leona is often countered by that flay, but I think it's a declaration of intent here from Reason Gaming that they want to play super aggressive at bot lane, knowing that having that information at your disposal to pick Vayne for me is a bit of a head scratcher. Obviously feeling very comfortable in his mechanical play to dart out of all that CC, or potentially just going to go for the 1v2 trades.
It just looks like the TheFoxSounds are feeling so comfortable against the owner Sivir. It's like, okay, well your laning phase doesn't offer very much, so we're just going to pick Vayne into it alongside Thresh. So immediately that signals to me that they're going to be very passive because they have a Lee Sin pickup, they can chain that into the Lantern, make it very difficult for Reason Gaming to be aggressive in honestly any of their lanes. So we're going to have to see exactly what happens, but Reason Gaming running a very different composition to the first 2 games.
They are, and I think that a lot of that comes down to the fact that Kha'Zix was banned. I think you hit the nail on the head in Game 2 and also in the break when you said that a lot of their composition is based around Kha'Zix jungle. With that being banned, they have to mix it up. They have to go back to the drawing board, with Elise now slipping through. I think it's exactly what they're going to do.
With that said, we are going to jump to a quick commercial break before we jump into the third and final game of today between Reason Gaming and the TheFoxSound. Don't go anywhere.
Chosen, and I won't lay still, living left behind, imprisoned by this love. I could feel your heartbeat, I could feel somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat, I could feel somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe, and it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need. And it's you that I wanna need.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Reason Gaming versus TheFoxSound for the third and final game of this best-of-3 series. Already, TheFoxSound looking to be very aggressive. I am Pulse. I am joined by Metas. We are into this game.
We are into the third and final game. I nearly said final and final game. I guess that would also be correct.
It's definitely final.
Yes, it is the final in this best-of-3. Currently resides at 1-1, of course, and looks like, as you say, TFS are looking to put on the early aggression in the opposition jungle.
Yeah, but that has been scouted out by Beansu, who was able to get that early bit of vision, that early bit of knowledge. Sencook's just face checks the bush anyway. Death Sentence comes in, he gets locked up. They don't have any other follow-up apart from that. Flame Spinner comes in. Oh, Centurion picks it up with the resonating strike. First blood comes in.
The style points awarded to Santorin. I think the kill was going to go anyway with the Ignite, but better safe than sorry. And I have to question you right there. Senkooks, what were you doing? You knew they were going in for the engage. You knew they were going in for the jungle invade. And he just face-checked the bush for no reason. I really don't understand that. He also burnt his flash. So not only did they get the first blood, he now has no flash in mid. They can just camp that one out.
You know, I'm not even sure he would have died. I was just rewatching that on stream, whether he would have died from the Ignite. I think the Santorin's Q was necessary there, and it absolutely threaded the needle. It was like that video that was promoted a couple days ago in Korean Challenger. Not sure if you caught it, where like the smite came in and the Lee Sin managed to thread a Q into a vein, but it was, yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
Well, that's what, as I say, better safe than sorry, because it's one of those split decision kind of things that you do where you've already burnt an Ignite, you've already burnt and committed a lot to that kill. You may as well make sure you get it. So, really nice play from Santorin.
Absolutely. So now we're going to jump back to laning phase, and Lee Sin has had a pretty good early start. We'll be slightly ahead of that at least. No significant damage done to the junglers, so it won't really affect it too much. And Santorin's actually going to go ahead and start with the blue buff, which is not something we see all the time, but he's feeling quite confident in his ability to stay ahead. The engage already from Barney D onto Zaichi and Jinxbot, going to be following up, and that Crislin gets caught up. Crazy Caps lay some damage in, hinted him against the wall, flash backwards into that bust. This might be the all-in they're looking for. Crazy Caps doesn't decide to go any further with his ally, but already Crislin not in good shape.
I'm really surprised at that play from Crazy Caps. I don't know if you noticed, but he hesitated for a good second or two there, turned his back as Zykian jumped in, but here comes Santorin to bot lane.
He's looking for another kill, he will get it. Barney D has got his, has been locked down. Santorin's sights were on him with that Q landing, but not in good shape. 2-0, and that reflects Santorin's scoreline.
And this is the reason why Santorin went blue buff first, because I was saying before, when you take Leona Sivir, it's a declaration of intent. You're going to play aggressive, you're going to push that lane. Santorin started blue so he could come down after red to try and secure the kill, knowing that the lane would be pushed. Such smart, preemptive play from Santorin and the side of TFS.
Indeed. So, right now it's just basically Reason Gaming trying to play the catch-up game, already behind. Lee Sin has a very good start. Trashy trying to pick up a kill onto Lapras in the middle lane. Completely out of mana. Cocoon will completely where Volatile Spalling comes around the side. I don't think he expected Lapras to go too far to the left, but again, he's just going to have to slink back to his jungle.
It was very optimistic, that Cocoon, but
yeah.
Another day it could have landed. He looked like a genius. And either way, though, the reason why this bot lane pushes so hard, if Barley D throws in his Zenith Blade and catches all the creeps, the Sunlight passive gets procced, Boomerang Blade comes in, you insta-give all the creeps. Speaking of which, they're actually going to go in here.
Yep, they are just, again, pushing onto Zaitin. He's very tanky at this stage, and Crazy Caps is quite happy to farm out the minion wave. And this is the kind of problem with the Sivir lane, is if you want to harass, you will be pushing the lane in. And with Lee Sin doing so incredibly well, you didn't want to be pushing your lane in.
Exactly. Every single aspect of Crislin right now is pushing the lane with Leona. Boomerang Blade pushes lane. The Ricochet pushes lane. As I was saying before, the Sunlight passive is going to push that lane. So you can see that Santorin is probably just going to camp bot. With having the Living Shadow in mid from Zed, that's not an easy lane to gank. This is a much easier target to go for.
Yeah, and that's exactly why he's going in for round 2. Barney D trying to find himself an escape route using that Zenith Blade. He's just going to go ahead and donate that kill to Crazy Caps. 3-0 for TFS.
So they have to go back to the drawing board here. Crislin and Barney D have to establish either we're going to play passive and let the wave come to us, or we need to start getting some synergy going with our jungler so we can counter gank. Because if they keep going at the same rate of fire, Santrin's, he's in a dream state right now. He's so happy with how this bot lane's going. It could not be better for him. They need to do something to change this up.
Indeed. So in the middle lane, Zed is obviously 1 kill down on that assist to Orianna from that first blood, but nothing has changed all that much. Zed will progressively get stronger and stronger into the later into the game, and more importantly, Trashy heading into the bottom lane, still with that double, still will be the last guy he can do with that. Jumps forwards using Flash, condemned against the wall. That might be enough to keep Zaishin alive. Crazy Caps gets back to the tower using that lantern, and those summoners were for nothing.
Yeah, flashing in to make sure the cocoon landed, but it just wasn't enough follow-up. Barney D was out of position, not able to throw in his Zenith Blade and get that Shield of Daybreak pass, stun afterwards. So effectively, as you say, that summoner was used for absolute naught. And now that the flash is down, again, Santrin is super happy with this. He realizes that Elise's presence in the jungle has just gone down a few pegs.
Yep, Elise won't be able to get away from Lee Sin if he tries to counter jungle. He's 2-0-1, already picked up the Spirit Stone and another smaller item on top of that being the Ruby Crystals. So there's very little that Reason Gaming can do about it. They just have to sit back and try and farm it out.
Okay, correction I'm going to make on myself there. It wasn't for absolute naught, but it could have gone a lot better, because actually, upon looking a second time, Zykian also popped his flash. Still, I feel that could have gone a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a jungler's flash for a lane support's flash, and most likely your support won't be making too many flash plays unless, I mean, Fresh will be using that, but it's more useful for the jungler for securing those kills, whereas in the bottom lane it's more about protecting your carry while they farm it on out. But at the moment, it is just about farming. That is the name of the game. And Reason Gaming do scale very well into the late and mid games, with Bintu on Jax and also Zed. Sivir also great in the roaming phase. But if they don't get there, then that's not really going to help them at all.
But they're also against a champion that scales super hard, the hyper carry herself, Vayne. So if you do scale into the super late stages of the matchup, if Crazy Cap's mechanical skill is there, he's going to be able to navigate through all those issues and manage to punish you down. But I think he's been caught box.
Yeah, Zaishin will be aggressing onto Barney D. Funky Zenith Blade mechanics. I don't think it's going to matter too much, as Crazy Caps will be progressing and picking up another kill. Jinx, but unable to react to that. And that will bring the scoreline to 4-0. And the kill is probably in the most perfect places you could have them.
For early game, definitely. Vayne with 2 kills, 2 assists. Early Bilgewater Cutlass, which is what really secured that kill, because it slowed down Barney D. The extra punch of damage was just about enough with a 3rd Silver Bolt proc. So it couldn't be any better right now for TFS, honestly. After that rocky second game, they're bouncing back in the best possible way.
They're looking so good in this game. It's just a matter of what Lee Sin wants to do with his time. It's going to be bot lane just aggressing onto Jinx, but again, the box will be popped. And again, another kill for that Vayne. Again, Trashy has come into the bottom lane, this time to counter gank from Santrin, who just jumps in. Repel comes up, back onto the white. Body D has come back in, maybe just to die. Santrin has been called out, kind of behind that turret, but Zaishin and the assistance from Crazy Caps jukes out of the cocoon. But all this time has allowed Sencooks to come in from the middle lane. Santrin is going to try and distract them from his allies, and Zaishin is just going to help out Lapras and Crazy Cap. So 1 kill comes down. Oh, Shockwave onto Trashy, and Sencooks drags him back with Flay. Repel comes back up, but he doesn't really have anywhere to go. Barney D knows he has to go for disengage. Trashy drops into the death chamber, but so will Crazy Caps. Lapras being pushed back by Barney, and now with this engagement going for so long, Sivir has finally returned, but still, that's going to be a 2-for-2 trade overall.
And I have to say, 2-for-2 trade, but favouring Reason Gaming. They got the shutdown on Zed from Vayne, and the kill was picked up by Thresh. One of the kills was picked up by Thresh, so that overall slightly favours Reason Gaming. And that was just hyper-aggressive play coming out from TFS, which honestly, I don't think they needed to do, Pulse. They didn't need to go that deep, knowing that the rest of the team was missing.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely unnecessary. It was aggression to keep up the pressure against a team who needs itemization to really become relevant, but it was unnecessary pressure. I completely agree. And right now, that has just allowed Reason Gaming to at least survive for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, and that shutdown gold on Zed is going to be super nice when he goes back to spawn. He's got over 2,000 gold to spend, so that could get him snowballing. Mid lane, Cocoon lands.
Yeah, indeed, they will be going for this gank, and again, the repel comes up, he's got nowhere to run. Sencooks, will he go full Lee Syndrome? No, he will not. He won't go any further on that. And Sencooks going to go ahead and teleport back to base.
Yep, so he's going to be able to spend that nice chunk of change in his back pocket right now. What's he going to go for? Well, Bilgewater Cutlass has been finished off, so lots of damage going to be put down from him. Meanwhile, noticing that Zed had to go back to spawn, they're going to be starting on the Dragon here, TFS, and probably going to get it as well.
Yeah, there's nothing they can really do to steal this one away. Solar Flare's probably going to be their best bet, but Crazy Camps is going to make sure Bonnie D cannot get anywhere near that Dragon Pit, and the Dragon will go down, so just increasing their advantage. It's not going to be super major, but still, they'll take all the gold they can get.
Definitely, especially after that slight hiccup at bot lane. They want to steady the ship and start to push forward as a united team here. But this is allowing the fact that Orianna had to go back to spawn after the Dragon. They could very well try and burst down this mid tower. Looks like they do a fair chunk of damage to it.
Yep, it's going to go down very quickly. This Spyling is going to be tanking up the aggro, meaning they can just keep this siege for longer than they would usually. Going to be pushed away by Lapras, but still down to about 25% HP. It's a pretty good push. Bottom lane, however, going to be Crazy Catch just putting some hurt onto Bonnie D. Santorin is sitting in the bush, going very dangerously close. And as soon as Zacian is in contention, they will go for this engagement. Crislin has gone so far forwards, but that creep will be blocking the route for Santorin to flash forward into Death Sentence, will be landing and knocks him back. Flake comes down, Bonnie D still trying desperately, gets the stun onto 2. That might be enough to keep him alive. In fact, it will be.
Oh, a couple of key points in that fight. In fact, I thought top lane pulse. Nope, they're not going to go for it. I thought they were going to go all in on Xerius there. But a couple of key points. One, you mentioned it. Resonating Strike caught on the minion. Good guy minion blocking that one out for his AD carry. Second, that could not have been a better solar flare if Barney D tried, catching all 3 players, saving his life.
Top lane, however, they will go for this engagement. Venomous Bite is so close to landing. Flash forwards, there it is. Repel comes up, cancels the aggro onto the minions.
Yeah, crisp play from Reason Gaming at top. But again, Barney D, big plays at bot lane, but it's really just delaying the inevitable. Yes, they're making the big plays, but it's always defensive. It's never aggressive. They're not picking up kills. They're just saving their own lives.
But this is Santorin finding the gankers in the top lane. Lapras has come in. Beansu uses him as a jumping post, but he is completely out of mana. Trashy will probably get out of this one. Lapras backed on off. Beansu is still out of mana, and Sadikox jumps all the way backwards using Death Mark, and no one actually dies.
Wow, Trashy, so close to death. I think it was about 20 hit points at the end there.
Yeah.
As he scurried away with. So one more auto attack, one more. Even a gust of wind would have probably finished him off at that stage. And Zed also was very, very adamant on picking up that kill on Orianna, but the ball coming to the rescue just as that mana came up unreplenished.
So 6-3 is the current scoreline, and, well, still, TFS are looking very strong, but maybe not scaling as well as they were before. Vayne's still 3-1-3, 2-1-1 will be the scoreline for Lee Sin, and as long as Vayne is doing well, then your team is doing well.
Yeah, that's it. Hit the nail on the head. If your Vayne is winning in lane, getting free farm, getting kills, it's happy days for the rest of your team, because they know even if they are behind, get her to the late game, protect her, which they've got a lot of protection. Look at the team comp that they're currently running here. It's very good for protecting Vayne, can kick away with Lee Sin, equalizer down, and the Shockwave plus Thresh box. How are you going to deal with that Vayne? How are you going to contend with Crazy Caps just jumping around the battlefield, nuking players down?
It's a very disruptive team fight as well as, well, a preemptive Sivir ultimate used just for the Lantern all the way through. This is something that we saw in the Challenger series as well. It's just like, Thresh can cause so much fear using the Lantern, it will often force summoners.
It's mind games. That's ultimately what it is, because if he throws it behind him, you're assuming there's a jungler there, and you can't afford, especially when you're already behind, you can't afford to second guess that. Because if you're like, nah, screw you, dude, there's no one there, and then there ends up being Lee Sin, you're like, oh, we're both dead. Awesome. We should have just backed away. So it's really smart play from Zycian to be throwing his weight around here at bot.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, right now, Lee Sin sitting in the wings, but so is Trashy. We could, well, see the counter gank, and with Lapras being in a worse shape than Sandcooks, it will definitely go in the favour of Reason Gaming if they go for this. Dissonance into the standard attack combination from Lapras. The tension is building in the middle lane. Sandtrin still wants this gank to happen. It's just about Lapras baiting Sandcooks onto him. He's gonna jump in, lands the Q, finds Trashy, doesn't go any further.
Yeah, both junglers getting a bit impatient. They're not wanting to wait around for too long, and you know why? Because they're very volatile lanes right now. Rumble is having a pretty nice time at top. Yes, he's died at one time, but he's keeping himself relatively even, whereas on the flip side, Crazy Caps, there is no doubting he is way ahead. Look at that farm right now, Pulse. 123 to Vayne, 68 to Crystalline Sivir after 15 minutes. That is catastrophic.
Quite a big gap.
Yeah,
you don't have to be a mathematician to find out that that's quite a lot of difference, and he's not going to be in very good shape at all. Crazy Caps has just had no disruption farming this lane. That's basically just perfect CS right now. He's got 3 kills, he's got great creep score, and there's nothing really to stop him. They haven't had the ability to allow Elise to gank the bottom lane. In fact, it's quite difficult from the purple side as well, because if they're pushed up, then where do you gank from? Do you lane gank? Well, you're Elise, the minions are going to block you. You come from behind? Well, no, because you're Elise, you're quite squishy. So Crazy Caps is going to carry on farming, and he will do that for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, and there's nothing that'll stop him. And you could look at that and go, oh, he doesn't have 160 farm at 16 minutes. Yeah, but what you're not taking into account is they've had tower dives, he's died, they've been on Dragon. There's so much more things that have been happening. So his CS is phenomenally good right now. And really, the only thing that matters at AD carry is, are you beating your other AD carry? Are you beating your opponent's CS? If yes, you're winning the lane. It's that simple. If you have more gold, you're winning the lane. And I don't think there's any doubts right now that Vayne's a long way ahead. In fact, let's have a look at it. 6k to 4k. Big chunk of difference at 16, nearly 17 minutes through the match.
Yeah, Santorin almost landed the Q onto Crystalline, but the fact that he just stood still and started recalling completely threw off Santorin. And, in fact, didn't land the Q and couldn't follow up. But Dragon is live. That will keep Crystalline and Bonnie D in the area. But with the jungler being in the middle lane looking for this gang, that could be the determining factor. Lapras is so low. Huge shockwave lands onto both of these players. The jump out from Living Shadow isn't going to be enough. It's going to be enough for both of these players. Trashy jumps in again using Repel. He's got enough health to survive this. And Sencooks may indeed just look for the execute, trying to run away from Santorin. Those minions are very persistent, trying to pick up that kill themselves. Jumping over the wall using Living Shadow. Beansuit is going to be in hot pursuit of Zerius, who's heading from the bot lane. Santorin's going to find Sencooks, picks up the kill. That's going to be a 1-for-1 trade overall, but has distracted him from Dragon.
It has, and also stopped him from picking up that middle tower. Beautiful play from Orianna there, yes. Ended up dying Lapras, but that shockwave could not have been any better. Very nearly actually killing Zed right there and then. Bot lane though, Crazy Caps is going in on a 1 versus 2.
He's just gonna go for it. He jukes out of the way of Solar Flare, but so much damage from that Sunlight passive. And Crystalline will be quite happy to pick that one up. Maybe a bit too ballsy 1 versus 2, but Santorin has arrived, and he is very strong. Lands a huge death sentence onto Bonnie D. The Zenith Blade will only just jump a centimeter backwards. Execute combo comes in, drags himself closer towards Jinx bot, but doesn't have any summoners or indeed ability cooldowns to go much further.
Alright, Vayne, chill your beams, love. You're not that strong just yet. That was a bit too optimistic, and in doing so, you just gave Crystalline some free farm, you just gave him a kill, you just gave him some free gold. You don't want to be doing that. If you're way ahead as an AD carry, just keep farming, especially as a Vayne. That really did actually set her back quite a bit. Still ahead, though.
Yeah, and again, there's going to be Lapras trying to clear out the middle wave, but Santorin comes in. It'll be Sencooks picking that one up. Death markers come in. Santorin is still very squishy at this stage and takes him down to about 40% HP, but won't result in that kill.
Yep, but they have managed to get another objective. It's in fact the first tower objective, but I believe they got a dragon earlier. So it is starting to get close right now in this game, but the gold is on the right characters. Santorin at some point is going to have to move himself into more of a utility Lee Sin, because he's going to scale off top lane now.
Yep, Beansu jumps in using Counter-Strike, Trashy follows up, Equalizer comes down, but that's not going to do too much more than just tickle them. And 8 and 6, Reason Gaming come back into this game.
They are, and that's going to be alarm bells ringing right now for TFS. Yes, they're going to pick up the dragon, but Jax has 2 kills, and everyone fears to play against that late game Jax. Not only is he a great duelist, one of the best in the game, but he's amazingly good split pusher. So at some point, they're going to have to deal with him, Pulse. They don't want to let him snowball too hard, because then Vayne is not going to have the same impact that you'd normally like.
Yeah, the question really is just going to be how much can Vayne do against the Jax trying to jump on her face, and how can she kite away from that? It should be okay, but usually what you pick a Jax for is just have him like 1v1 pushing in the top lane, because he just outscales basically anyone he's up against. And against Rumble, who's not actually doing too well, he can just afford to stay up there. He's already picked up the Trinity Force. There's very little he can really do to stop that Jax from continuously pushing in. He doesn't need to go into team fights, but in many ways they need an answer to Vayne, which is going to have to be Sencooks.
Yeah, what I would say is though, with Bloodthirster being picked up finally from Crystalland after that kill he got on Vayne, that's a pretty big damage spike for Sivir. It's a big item for this character. So with the Sunlight procs that we were saying before, the passive from Leona, they are able to pretty much cancel out these creep waves very fast. Maybe looking for an engage here, but you can see this creep wave clear. It's just sensational from Crystalland and Barney D. It's pretty much, you throw Boomerang Blade, it's dead. Nothing you can do.
Going to be Santrin on the hunt, doesn't quite connect the Resonating Strike. Doesn't get any of that form of glory, but Barney D jumps in very aggressively. Flay comes backwards. This is definitely going to be a dead support, maybe going a little bit too close. Knew that Trashy was around the area, but that's going to be a dead support and a dead blue buff.
Well, that was just a lapse in concentration or maybe communication on the side of Reason Gaming's Barney D there, because he went in completely by himself, didn't use Solar Flare. Maybe he was going to use it as a last-ditch effort, but when you get Death Sentence, you can't do anything. You're effectively silenced, so he couldn't even use that dice for naught, didn't use a Solar Flare, and now this is opening up a lot of possibilities for TFS and mid.
Yeah, but Reason Gaming are going to try and collapse in the middle lane. Shockwave comes out, lands onto 2. I'm not even sure where Zed went. Oh, he went to follow the creep. So they weren't able to go any further.
Creeps OP, worth. And then they actually are going to pick up this bottom tower finally, with Sivir being forced to just get the big Wraith there, the white Wraith, around the side of the wall. But still, Vayne is going to be going back to spawn with 1.6k, so that could be a Phantom Dancer. There we go. That's a big spike in damage for Vayne.
So, in the middle lane, Lee Sin just kind of faking out Sencooks, but 3k ahead will be the score. Not going to be too significant, but they are definitely ahead. No team fights have happened just yet, Metas, but when we do get to those team fights, who are you favouring?
It's a real tough one, because Lapras, even though his stats don't look that impressive, his shockwaves have been on point. Really good. You put Shockwave, Equalizer on top of one another and the box, and suddenly it's just devastation. I think it comes down to how Reason Gaming split push here. It's going to be a lot down to Jax.
Oh, well, bye, Rumble. That's not a fight you're going to win. Even without Trashy there, just finding himself Jax. As soon as you're in melee range, then you're basically dead at that stage.
So just to kind of progress on what I was saying before, I think Reason Gaming don't really want a team fight just for now. They're happy to let Jax split push, whereas at some point TFS will be like, we're way stronger. If Jax is split pushing, they're going to try and make engages happen. Maybe with having, you know, that wombo combo coming into effect. Now Trashy's been caught, but I think he'll be okay because Jax is there.
Yeah, as long as Jax is around any area, this is not a fight you want, even when you're outnumbering them. And Santrin just kind of trying to clear out the minion wave, but he's not doing that too effectively. Beansu is beating down that turret. There's no way he can defend that. Inner turret goes down, and Jax is becoming a serious issue.
Exactly, and this is the problem, that TFS are going to have to start thinking, okay, we can't out-split push Reason Gaming squad. They've got great creep wave clear at the bot lane with Leona and Sivir, as we mentioned before. Jax is a duelist, and he's one of the best in the game. And then you've got Zed and Elise, who are very slippery characters to lock down. In fact, they're going to go for this Baron, and you know they've got the damage for this.
They can do it even with 2 members, so Spiling's going to tank the most of this aggro, and Beansu does so much damage against this Baron, already down to 40% HP with 2 members. This is a Baron clear you would expect from 5 members at 24 minutes, and none the wiser will be TFS. It's going to go down, they're going to have realized, and that's a huge objective taken away from them.
It's massive, it's colossal at 24 minutes, because if Jax was scary before, he's just gone back to spawn with over 2,000 gold to spend in a Baron buff. Bilgewater Cutlass, Mercury Tread's going to be Blade of the Rune King, as so many Jaxes go for the Triforce Blade of the Rune King build. Terrible. That's a duelist kind of combination to be building. And that signifies, I want to split push, I want to go one-on-one. And I don't know about this from TFS, they have to be super careful.
Well, they saw the window to push, but that's not what they want to be doing. Barney D jumps in, massive shockwave comes backwards, Barney D drops Trashy on the escape route. Sencooks has found himself a resonating strike. Beansu has come back from base, but with Barney D in the death chamber, this is not really a fight that they want right now. They're going to aggress forward. Zaichin goes for the engage, box comes out. Beansu has been dragged into that team, lands counter strike onto Free, and will retreat with his tail between his legs back to his turret. Tower goes down, but that's the best that TFS can hope for.
And this is the problem from Reason Gaming. They don't want to group up and fight because they are not going to win. We saw Shockwave, Equalizer on top of one another, crushing through, forcing flashes left, right, and center. Jax played absolutely no part of that team fight. There was too many people to go for, too much CC to contend with, Thresh in the fray, and then the box after that. They don't want a team fight, they want a split push, and Beansy going back up to top, this is a smart play.
Yeah, the TheFoxSound basically had this very small window in which they could go for that push. Again, Barney D has been caught out. Death Sentence will not land, but the Condemn will onto that wall. And another kill comes out. TFS are just finding themselves perfect opportunities to pick up advantages, even with that huge advantage of Baron being picked up this early.
And the other problem as well in that previous team fight is that Leona's ultimate didn't really do anything. Barney D whiffed that one big time, and that allowed, again, the freedom for TFS to go crazy, because that is one of the main CC they have. They've got Counter-Strike from Jax, Cocoon from Elise, and then Leona. If Leona misses her ult, they're kind of screwed, you just have to back away.
Yeah, Beansy was going to do what he does best and go for that split push. Oh my god, the damage onto Lapras. He wants to get out as soon as he can. Zaishin has come out. Flay comes in. Again, the Shockwave, but with Trashy coming into this fight, he might be able to turn the tables. Beansy was dropped low enough that they have stymied that push. But right now, actually, Reason Gaming are finding it very difficult to go for the fight they want.
Yeah, they're trying their best to force things, but the problem is they try too hard at bot, and that's the reason they lost the team fight. They should have retreated, but they got that red miss, and like, we got Baron buff, guys, we're immortal. Nope, you're not. The combination you're facing against is way too strong, and so much of it comes down to Barney D. If he can land his ult, they should be okay. If he misses, they have to retreat, they have to back away. So you're now in this weird position in this game where the gold's pretty close, but once this Baron buff wears off, watch for TFS to really go for the jugular.
Yeah, that'll slingshot them back into their aggression, but it honestly seems this game matters that the team that has been most aggressive is the one who starts losing. Because they just get overzealous, go for fights that maybe not necessarily they can win, but they feel like they should because they're ahead, and then they just fall behind again. So we're in this very odd situation where it's not necessarily an even game, but you will know it evens itself back up because one team will go too deep.
Yeah, and the problem is that the aggression, if it comes from Reason Gaming, they're going to lose in a team fight. And TFS, if they go hyper-aggressive, they have to contend with Jax. That being said, though, they picked the right moment to push this mid tower down. They're going to get this. No problems at all.
It's smart rotations. It's not even picking the right fight. It's just finding someone out of position, rotating, getting a kill onto a turret, and then disappearing again. Trashy might be in poor shape. Spidling will tank up that CS. That Spidling will tank up the Resonating Strike and the Death Sentence. Vayne has gone into the top lane. She's the only one who can one-on-one Jax at this stage. And this might be the collapse they're looking for. Rumble is not in good shape. Solar Flare comes down. Equalizer comes out. That's going to be a very dead Rumble. Beans, who has found himself caught out by Lapras. But with the rest of the team in full retreat, this is not really where they want to be at. Everyone down to about 50%. Crazy Caps is coming all the way from that top lane. Not sure if they can really connect the dots. Santorin doesn't quite land that Q on that clutch situation like he did at the very start of the game.
Yeah, he flash Q'd and missed it, so that is a flash for nothing. And on top of that, even though Zerius did die, such a good job to put down the Equalizer. That's what chunked everyone down to 50% HP, so they couldn't really make the most of the 4 versus 5 situation. That should buy him enough time to respawn and get back into contention. So really nice play from Zerius. He died, but he went down swinging.
Yeah, so 2k advantage will be going to the TheFoxSound, and that's basically what they've had for the entirety of this game. 2 minutes now on Baron will probably be the next point of contention for both of these teams, and now that the TheFoxSound knows that, well, Reason Gaming can very easily go for that, they'll put some more wards around the area and kind of put some more efforts into making sure that doesn't get taken away from them again.
Yep, and that engage mid all started from a really crisp Barney D ultimate. Really good, landed right on the grill, right on the head of Rumble, so it really secured it at the end. So if you can manage to pick off a couple more players in the same kind of form there, with Baron being up in 1 minute 25, both teams are probably not going to know the exact timing on this, because remember, it was a 2-man Baron take from Reason Gaming, so TFS, they probably have a general idea of when Baron's up, but they're not going to know exactly when. And maybe Reason Gaming are going to try and play on that.
Yeah, they're going to have to make sure the area is well warded, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Reason Gaming try their best to deny that vision, but TFS have now scouted the Baron pin, are making sure, because they probably know around this area, a minute give or take will be when the Baron is coming up, and at least they do have some knowledge right now, which is exactly what they need. But Binsu is on 2 items, and he is so scary.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe go for a Guardian's Angel next or something similar for a bit of tank and survivability. So he is going to try and fend off this 1 versus 2. And I mean, actually in the mid lane, they're going to try and engage on this.
Yeah, Zaisha is going to be the one who's going to try and get that kill, but the On the Hunt passive has just allowed them to get out of dodge. That has been an ultimate burn, but it was definitely worth it not to lose a member of their team, especially Barney D, who has been on the receiving end of oh so many ganks, 0 and 6, but has been offering a lot of solar flares to this game. Everyone posturing around this area. We might see a team fight happen. If a team fight's going to happen, I feel like it will open up with a pick first.
Yeah, fully agree. That's pretty much exactly how I see it coming down. Whether it's a solar flare from Barney D, whether it's a good cocoon landing in the right place from Trashy, or a good shockwave from Lapras, who's been landing them all game long. 305 CS as well, so he's pretty much on perfect CS at this point in the game. And you can see this reach this stalemate where both teams respect each other. One small mistake could be the difference between a Baron and actually losing the game.
All 10 players have converged on the top lane. Elise is hanging around the side looking to get the perfect flank in. But no one really wants to go for a fight, and as you said, it has kind of hit a stalemate. It's both of these teams just trying to get themselves a fight. ICS is going to be in the top lane trying to bait out the engage from Barney D, but Reason Gaming aren't having any of it, and I feel this dance could go on for quite some time.
Yeah, it could be a case that TFS just want to whittle this one away, or they're going to go hard. Talisman of Ascension was popped, they're going to go in. They're
going to go in. Barney D is going to instigate that fight. Huge solar flare onto Free. Lands onto Zaichis. Equalizer comes out. That's going to be the kill onto Jax. Senecooks has jumped in onto that Vayne, but she's canning away like a champion. 2 for 2 trade. And Lapras re-engaged upon, flash forwards into Cocoon. Jinxbot comes through, another shockwave, in fact the first shockwave of this fight. Crazy Caps is left to mop up the fight, picks up 1, looks for the second, gets the second, gets the double. Barney D only 1 left standing, and they should be able to pick up a tower off of this as well.
Black Dark Passage saved Crazy Cap's life by the skin of his teeth. That's going to turn out to be a 4 for 3 trade in the end. Beautiful solar flare, but also a pixel perfect equalizer from Rumble, locking Jax down. He could not move and ended up actually burning to death, I believe. So massive ultimates coming in thick and fast from both teams. And Crazy Caps may be fancying his chances. Look at that damage on Barney D, who's pretty damn tanky at this stage of the game.
Yeah, choked into 50% HP, but a bit rude because he was dancing in front of his face. But
True.
Still quite a lot of damage, and it's definitely a show of strength.
Yep, and Vayne and Thresh thinking about trying to pick up this Baron. Now, I'm not too sure about this play pulse because Thresh is getting low. If they have to recall, that is going to give Reason Gaming the potential to pick this one up. They're in position, 4 versus 2. How's this going to go?
They're doing it very quickly. They have so much single target damage. Barney D throws out the solar flare. It's just not going to be enough. Not in time. They had the vision, but 15 to 11 Baron buff and a huge swing in momentum to TFS.
Yeah, I said not so sure. Then the cavalry came in and the Baron clear was exceptionally fast. So I think actually caught Reason Gaming slightly off guard there with how quickly Baron went down. They actually went there as fast as they possibly could, but it just wasn't enough. Now they're well and truly on the back foot. No inhibitors have been cracked just yet though, Cole. So they still have the sanctuary of these inhib towers to fall back to, and it's still anybody's game. You make a small mistake, you will have that solar flare landing on your head, and they're going to try and rinse and repeat from that last fight. The equalizers though, I have to say again from Xerius, his equalizers have been so good this game.
Yeah, it's really coming down to how quickly and can you actually kill Crazy Caps at this stage. He's 6-2 and 7, he's dealing probably the most damage. It's finally hit the Vayne time in the game where she's basically hit peak Vayne. And the answer is, well, not only Binsu, but also Trashy and Sencooked, who has been caught in the jungle. Trashy doesn't have anywhere to go. It's just a matter of how quickly they can take her down. Lapras gonna claim that kill, 4 versus 5, and now it's just time to make a power play.
Yeah, and that's really significant because Trashy's dead for 45 seconds. So that's a big chunk of CC off the table, quite a bit of damage as well. And you can see that TFS instantly want to try and make something happen. A lot of creep wave clear, though, on the side of Reason Gaming. So can they hold off for 30 seconds? I think it's possible, but TFS may force an engage.
They're pushing him away from the turret. Barney D is posturing aggressively, but he can't go too much further. Oh, Jinx has been caught! Gets nuked down in an instant. Box comes out. Insect back into his team. Double kill for Lapras. This will be the tower. This will be the inhib. Can they go any further?
I think this could be game as well, actually, depending on how much they want this. They have the tanks to just take all of the damage from these Nexus towers. Looks like they're going for it.
The Nexus turret is falling. B2 wants the chance to jump in, but that front line is so tanky. Trashy has respawned from his earlier demise. Santrin is again aggressive on the front. They just can't chunk that one down. B2 takes 2 shots, doesn't quite get the third. Oh, the shockwave lands on to another 2 members of the team of Reason Gaming. The jump in from Sencooks doesn't delete his target. Inhibitor, in fact, the Nexus turret falls. The disconnect comes out. The Nexus will be falling, and the champions of Challenger Series number 17, TheFoxSound, pick up this game.
Yeah, such a clinical performance at the end there from TFS, and a slight misstep from Crystalline.